Good evening, boys, families. It's Thursday night. Tomorrow is Friday, no classes. So maybe you'll have a good night's sleep tonight and catch up on your work tomorrow. And there are no classes on Monday because it's Memorial Day. And Sister Johnellen, that would be me, made a mistake. And I said there were classes, but they're not. So we're going to correct that out there. This is a story about Jake O'Shaughnessy. It's in Ireland. Ireland's a very green island. And we usually wear green, remember, on St. Patrick's Day to ward off the leprechauns. So this is about Jake, and he had quite an adventure. The wind blows free in Ireland. It whistles in from the oceans and soars over the Emerald Isle. Birds of all sorts from all over the world flock there to take advantage of the winging winds. There are swallows, eagles, owls, and a whole lot of seagulls. 1,000 or more birds sit on the edge of the cliffs that overlook the Atlantic Ocean. They wait for just the right breeze to send them soaring high into the sky with no effort whatsoever. The seagulls, like the rest of the birds, would constantly take wing just for the fun of flying. All the seagulls, that is, except a strange-looking green Irish seagull by the name of Jake O'Shaughnessy. Now, it wasn't that Jake didn't want to fly, or how he wanted to, but he didn't believe he could fly. And because he didn't believe, boys, he couldn't fly. Jake would flap his wings and try desperately to catch a breeze. As he would begin to lift from the ground, flapping his wings furiously, he would think, I don't think I can fly. In fact, I can't. With that, he would fall to the ground with a heavy crash, usually losing 8 to 10 feathers for his efforts. Poor Jake. He's a mess. Jake O'Shaughnessy was not a seagull to give up easily. He tried every trick there was in the seagull flying manual, but nothing would work. Once, out of desperation, Jake grabbed hold of the tail of a kite and soared over 100 feet into the air. Then, when the kite reached the end of its string, Jake let go. For a moment, it looked as if he might make it. He was flapping his wings magnificently, but then, as always, Jake began thinking he couldn't fly. He stopped flapping his wings. Down he fell, twisting and turning with feathers floating gently behind him into the ocean. Poor Jake. With all his falling and jumping off cliffs, Jake was becoming an absolute menace in the sky. All the birds would constantly look this way and that in fear of being hit by a falling green seagull. In desperation, the birds of Ireland held a secret meeting. We have to do something about Jake, shouted the swallows. Sure, croaked the crows. But what can we do? They thought and they thought. Finally, a wise old owl stepped forward and said, possibly I should teach Jake O'Shaughnessy the secret of the cliffs of County Court. They stopped and gazed at the cliffs above them. Solemnly they agreed that the secret held the only hope of Jake's learning to fly. While the other birds cheered him on, the old wise owl flew off to find Jake. Now, finding Jake had never been a difficult task for any of the birds of Ireland. All they would have to do was look in the water at the base of the cliff, and there Jake would be, floundering in the sea. Today was no exception. The wise old owl waited patiently on the beach for Jake to swim ashore. Jake, said the owl, do you really want to learn to fly? Jake thought for a moment and then answered quickly, oh yes, I am tired of falling, and I've had 5 colds already this year from swimming in that cold ocean. What I am about to tell you, said the owl, is the location of the secret of the cliffs of County Court. With that secret, you can learn to fly. The owl solemnly turned and pointed to the top of the cliff towering above them. The secret, Jake, is there at the top. When you find it, you will never have a problem flying again. Jake took a long look up at the cliff. But how will I get all the way up there, he asked. I can barely fly downwards, so how could I possibly fly up? You must do that yourself, said the owl, who flew off to join the other feathered spectators waiting at the top of the cliff. Jake took a couple of deep breaths of fresh air. He gulped once and began flapping his wings in hopes. of flying to the top. His flapping came to a sudden stop when he once again thought, "Oh, I don't believe I can do it." With that, he fell back with a clunk to the beach below. "I'll never get to the top by flying because I know I can't fly, but I know how to get to the top without flying." So Jake scurried around looking for the things that would set his plan in motion. Jake found a great length of old vine hanging from the rocks. Then he searched the beach until he found an old fishhook. Carefully, he lashed it to the end of his vine rope, and finally, with the help of 2 starfish, he strapped it to his feet. He was ready to climb the cliffs. What do you think, boys? Is he going to make it? Jake carefully threw the fishhook high into the rocks, and when it was secured, he began pulling himself up. With the starfish on his feet, he had excellent traction. Step by step, he came closer to the secrets of the cliffs of County Court. High above him and all around him, he could hear his cheering section urging him upward and onward. Finally, after many hours of hard climbing, Jake O'Shaughnessy reached the top of the cliffs of County Court. His friends shouted and cheered as Jake stood there, panting and puffing after his long journey. He looks pretty washed out, doesn't he, boys? "I'm at the top," puffed Jake. "But where is the secret?" The birds shouted in unison. "It's there, written upon that rock." Jake, for the first time, noticed a large boulder right before him. Carved on the rock was this message: "If you find you're not believing in everything you do, just remember lots of trying will bring confidence to you." Jake thought, "I wonder if that could be my problem. Maybe I can fly if I have confidence in what I'm doing. That's it. I need only to believe in myself, and then I can learn to fly." Jake carefully unfolded his wings, flapped them once or twice, and found the confidence to bolster his courage. "I know I can do it. I know I can fly. I really and truly believe in myself." With that, his wings began to pound, and Jake, as gracefully as any other Irish bird, lifted from the ground and flew high into the sky. Jake O'Shaughnessy was totally confident now. He believed in himself because he believed he could fly. Jake was so happy he felt that he could fly without falling for the rest of his life. So if you're deep in trouble and don't believe in what you do, just remember Jake O'Shaughnessy and confidence will come to you. This story would have ended happily except for one small problem. Jake O'Shaughnessy never learned how to land. So he would crash. Look at him in the tree. But he learned how to fly, boys. And why did he learn how to fly? Because he had confidence in himself. He believed in himself. You know our saying, be who God meant you to be, and you'll set the world on fire. So be who God meant you to be, and be confident in that, and happy about who you are. Never compare yourself to anybody else, boys. You are the person that God wanted created, and you do that the best you can. I love you. Sleep tight, and I'll talk to you on Monday. No, Tuesday. No school on Monday. Good night.